You may have heard about self-compassion, but what even is that? And how is it different from self-esteem? Let's take a look. I'm Dr. Nishi Bhopal. I'm a physician specializing in integrative psychiatry and sleep medicine. If you're a high achiever, you may have grown up with this idea that you have to be the best, that you have to get the best grades, be at the top of your class, go to the best school, win the award, the trophy, the gold medal. This carries over into adulthood, where you may carry the notion that you have to get the best job, get the promotion, and make the most money. This whole idea of having to be the best leads to comparisonitis, which is a compulsion to compare your achievements to others to determine relative importance. Your feelings of self-worth depend on how you compare to others based on these sort of arbitrary ideas of what it means to be successful. One of the big problems is that when your self-esteem is tied to comparison with others, it fosters feelings of disconnection and isolation, and also fosters a fear of failure. It results in an endless emotional roller coaster that rests on a frame of your successes and failures. If then we shouldn't be focusing on self-esteem and competition and comparison to others, what do we do to enhance feelings of self-worth in a healthy way? Dr. Kristin Neff is a researcher who went looking for this answer, and she found it in the form of self-compassion. In a large study of people from all different kinds of backgrounds, it was found that practicing self-compassion resulted in more stable feelings of self-worth than self-esteem. Self-compassion hinges less on competition, on one's perceived successes and failures, and results in less narcissism. Self-compassion also helps to build resilience. Self-compassion is not the same as self-pity. When we get caught up in cycles of feeling sorry for ourselves or self-pity, we're getting caught up and identified and engaged in our own mental and emotional drama. Self-compassion is really about zooming out, taking a step back, and having some perspective, and this allows us to actually feel more connected with the greater human experience. Self-compassion is not the same as being self-indulgent either, so it's not just saying like, I'm going to be kind to myself and sit on the couch and binge out on junk food and TV. Self-compassion is actually taking care of yourself and doing the things that you know are going to keep you healthy and going to foster happiness in the long run. So maybe sometimes it is that you take a break and watch a movie or something, but self-compassion goes beyond that, and it's really about taking care of yourself in a really deep and authentic and loving way. Moving out of patterns of self-criticism is also going to help you tap into your strengths and be more resilient, and it's going to help you achieve your goals. You can see how being self-critical is going to hinder you potentially from achieving the things that you want to in life. Self-compassion is really going to help you hone in on what's important to you, what your values are, what your identity truly is when you're not comparing yourself to others. Dr. Kristin Neff identifies 3 core components to self-compassion. The first component is being kind and caring to yourself and not being overly self-critical. People who are self-compassionate recognize that foibles and failures and setbacks are a part of life. Fighting reality when things don't go our way results in frustration and stress. Accepting reality for what it is and being kind to ourselves through that process helps to foster emotional equanimity. The second aspect of self-compassion is framing imperfection in terms of the shared human experience. From the outside, it can seem like everyone else has it together, that everyone else's lives are perfect, and that we're the only ones who are struggling. This leads to an irrational sense of feeling isolated, like you're the only one who's struggling, you're the only one who's making mistakes in life. The reality of the human experience is that we all suffer sometimes, we all struggle sometimes, we all make mistakes. That is part of being human. Practice of self-compassion is recognizing that we're not alone in those shared experiences. The third aspect of self-compassion is mindfulness, or seeing things clearly without ignoring or exaggerating our problems. But it involves looking at our emotions and our thoughts and our feelings with openness, with curiosity, and without judgment. Doing this mindfully while putting things into perspective helps us create a little bit of separation from our thoughts and emotions, and it helps prevent us from becoming overly preoccupied or overly identified with our thoughts and emotions. There are 2 self-compassion practices that I would recommend starting with. One of them is to simply notice. Notice your thoughts, notice your emotions, notice your feelings. Also take note of what you're saying to yourself. Ask yourself, would I say that to a friend? What would a friend say to me? Remembering not to judge yourself for those thoughts and emotions, but just being open and curious. The second self-compassion practice I recommend is one that I love, and this is a hand to heart practice. And it's thought that this act of putting your hands on your heart could release oxytocin, which is the feel-good hormone that's released when we pet our dog or hug a loved one. It's a hormone of connection. So doing this is like giving yourself a hug. When you do this, you can layer on a couple of things. So one thing is you could put your hands on your heart, take a deep breath in, follow with an exhalation. Another thing that I love to add in is something that you can say to yourself. You can do it in 3 parts, which connects to the 3 aspects of self-compassion. For example, you could say to yourself, this is a moment of suffering. I feel anxious right now. Whatever it is, acknowledge the emotions. That's step 1. The second thing I like to add to that is acknowledging your connection to the greater human experience. Everybody feels anxious sometimes. And then the third aspect is to say something reassuring to yourself that you might say to a friend. For example, this too shall pass, or I am not alone in this. Try these over the next week or over the next few weeks and see how it feels. You may have noticed that you're much more effective at work, more effective in your relationships, more effective in other aspects of your personal and professional lives when you're feeling calm and when you're feeling centered and equanimous. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and click the like button and subscribe to my channel. You can also get my weekly newsletter for simple bite-sized tips on well-being sent straight to your inbox. The newsletter is available on my website at intrabalance.com/newsletter. That's INTRAbalance.com/newsletter. The link is also available in the video description.